guys, so we're here, back again with another action figure review, hot off ye old holiday season. Good old Christmas was yesterday. We are back in action with some more Masters of the Universe goodness. Today we're taking a look at the Masterverse 87 movie, quote-unquote, inspired Dolph Lundgren He-Man, brought to us by the fine folks over at Mattel, as well as my good buddy Evil Villain, who's nice enough to hook this guy up in a, I wouldn't say recent trade we did, but what I like to call the never-ending trade. The never-ending story. Oh, different 80s movie. So I will leave a link in the description below to his Instagram. You can head on over there, give him a follow, let him know the Lord sent ya. Don't be a jerk. I'll find you. You won't like the consequences, I assure you. But with that all being said, this is a deluxe figure in the Masterverse line, and while I don't feel ripped off by that, especially since, again, I got it in a trade, I do think it's a little bit basic for a deluxe release. And we're going to talk about that because, first and foremost, he comes with a pair of extra hands. He's got a grip for the right, kind of open palm for the left. At least I hope these are his hands. Freaking million hands to keep track of with these reviews lately. That said, he does come with a blaster, which, am I not mistaken, or is this the only He-Man that's packing? Like, he's straight up packing guns, this He-Man. So that's pretty gnarly. And if we take our Dolph Lundgren here, I'm going to put him in the Jesus Christ pose. No, it's not Easter. And we are going to put this in the holster here. Like that. So there you go. There he is with his gun in the holster. But we are not done. No. We got plenty to go here. He's got a little kniff. Kniff right there. That looks like a mini version of a sword. And Mattel was nice enough to make this rotate, so this is a lot easier to do. You could take this and pop it in there, and then rotate it up. And there you go. There he is with his old kniff. And then he has an even littler kniff. Little teeny thing there. Butter your toast with it. This goes on his boot, right here. And I will tell you, compared to the Super 7 one, that is a much more snug fit. I can turn him upside down, it's not going anywhere. That said, we of course have his sword. Not a power sword per se, even though he does say, by the power of Grayskull and lightning hits it and everything in the movie. Not exactly the power sword, because he doesn't change into Adam. And that's probably the only thing the movie really improved, was the fact that He-Man was there the whole time, and it wasn't a Prince Adam thing. But if we carefully put this in the scabbard on his back, it can be easier said than done, because it has a tendency to get caught on the cape. And then it's got the little scabbard down here, and I always miss it when I go to put this in, so I can just get this in, so there, like that. Now our Dolph Lundgren quote-unquote He-Man, our quote-unquote Dolph Lundgren He-Man, is ready for action. And looking pretty darn good. I like this figure, alright? I'm not the biggest fan of the 87 movie. Much like the Filmation series, it's just a lot of the 80s media for Masters of the Universe didn't do it for me. Alfredo Alcala and the guy who does Danny Ketch Ghost Rider later on in the 90s, something Azaria, I think is his last name. I don't know, T-Biz would know that more so than yours truly, because he's a Motu nerd from back then, whereas I am a 2000X kid. And back then we didn't have many comics, but I think it's Fred Azaria, Mark Azaria, something like that. But that's about the only 80s media I really, really liked from Motu. Other than that, you know, the movie, I didn't care for it too much. The Filmation series, I didn't care for it too much. But I do like this figure, and I think He-Man has a pretty cool look here. I like the cape. The cape has a nice little border on the bottom there. It's a nice touch. I like the fact he's carrying a gun. He's not taking no shit from nobody. He's got 2 knives. So he can dual-wield knives, and then he's got the sword. I mean, he's ready to go. He just doesn't have a shield. So why they gave you this weird hand, I'm not sure. But that said, he did come with one other thing. And I'm going to put him here for the moment. Because he came with an extra head that looks awful good on the 40th He-Man. I mean, that's a pretty good look, if I do say so myself. So that's where that head's going to stay. But giving you a close-up look at that, you can see it's just a really good, you know, vintage He-Man looking head. And I know a lot of people did not care for the original 40th He-Man head, whether it was the paint or the sculpt or whatever, but this one here, it's a little bigger, I think, or at least the hair is a little bigger, and the skin tone matches close enough, and it looks really good on there. I like it. So that's how I'm going to display my 40th He-Man, with this head from good old Dolph Lundgren here. Which, you know, it's kind of cool that you could have like a regular He-Man head on this buck and have him kitted out with all the 87 movie armor and whatnot. But as far as articulation goes, his head is on, you know, the standard kind of neck joint. It does shift a little bit, but it is pretty stuck on mine. But you get a lot of play in the ball joint, so I guess that's fine. He does have a little tilt. His shoulders can go out, back, down, rotate forward and back. He's got a bicep swivel, double elbow, works pretty well. He does have a swivel in the wrist with a hinge. His torso has a diaphragm joint, but it's pretty locked down by all the gear here, so you're not going to get a lot out of that. You do get some rotation, though. I will say, he doesn't have, like, the, we'll call it the too bad torso joint, where it rotates at the top, and in here, it only rotates a little bit here, and you get all your lean and tilt and stuff out of that. So, interesting. I thought he had it before, but I guess I was wrong. Not right all the time. His legs can kick forward and back pretty well. They're a little squeaky, but that's fine. There's nothing going on there. They do kick out, back down. He does have a thigh cut. He has a double jointed knee. I will tell you, this knee on mine's a little bit loose. I can't seem to find the second knee joint. Well, he's got a double knee, but it appears that those are stuck on mine. I don't know if I can get those to work or not. Let's see here. No, doesn't want to go on that side, so I might need to heat up his lower knee. I didn't think I had to do that. Let's do this. Yep. Double knee is stuck on him, so I'm going to have to heat that and fix that. That's weird. I didn't notice that before. But whatever, it's fine. I'm sure it works. I'm just being a bitch right now, and I can't get it to move, so I'm not going to futz with that. He does have a boot cut. That said, he does have big, giant knee pads that go over the knee, so I don't want to monkey that up either. And then he does have a hinge in the foot with a rocker and peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So, cool figure. I dig it. Is it worth the deluxe price? Nah, not really. I think they're doing that because it is the 87 movie. And some people didn't get the Super 7 ones, which we will be comparing both him and Skeletor. I can't do the Alan Oppenheimer voice with the Frank Langella Skeletor, because he was nothing like him. He was a little bit more savage, so I guess that's another thing one could say that was good about the movie, I think, but putting him there. It looks good, though. It looks like a really solid figure from a distance. It's got its flaws, it's got its shortcomings, but I like it. I think it's good. I think if you didn't get the Super 7 ones, this one is just as good for the price point, because the Super 7 ones, we can't go by that original price point. Those were like $30, $35 figures initially. They're probably a couple $100 a piece now. So if you're willing to drop that kind of cash, that's fine, but for $35 you could do a lot worse. Like that Insomniac Spider-Man. Haha, I did bring it back one more time before the end of the year, because that is some bullshit. But with that being said, it's time now that we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here's our new 87 movie, quote-unquote, inspired Dolph Lundgren He-Man from the Masterverse line, brought to us by the fine folks over at, say it with me now, Mattel, alongside the rebel leader, who with a rebel yell, she cried, mo, mo, mo. Sounds like those bitches on Facebook. Either way, this is the rebel leader He-Man from the fine folks over at Super 7. And as you can see, with the exception of, we'll say, the accoutrements and accessories, and obviously the head sculpt, on the rebel leader He-Man, I think the Masterverse He-Man here has a better sculpt anatomically. It matches the build of Dolph Lundgren a little bit better from the movie. It might not be perfect, but I think the classics buck for the movie He-Man is a little bit too thick with 2 C's, maybe 3 C's. Although on this figure here, it's not as noticeable. It's much more noticeable on the Frank Langella Skeletor from Super 7, which, speaking of which, we do have the Masterverse Frank Langella Skeletor here, so he can have his last and final battle with the most powerful man in the universe there. That said, if you wanted to do some part swapping, I'm not sure about the whole harness and stuff with this Classics William Stout collection, whatever you want to call it, version of Dolph Lundgren He-Man. But you could easily swap the heads, and then of course give this other one the weapons from the Classics one, because I think that would look pretty good. And I think the Classics weapons, while maybe not exactly the same size as the Masterverse one, I think they would still work. I think it's close enough, and especially the head, you could swap that head on easy, and maybe just use a little bit of heat, and it'll pop right on there. So, moving these two out of the way here. Of course, wouldn't be one of my reviews without Brother Mandibilith from Mythic Legions. And the infamous 11th Spawn, who is about neck and neck with good old Dolph Lundgren here. So, with that being said, it's time now to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, while I'm not 100% sold on the fact that this is a deluxe release, which, if the New Eternia web store taught us anything, is that the deluxe price point in the Masterverse line is a bit scatterbrained at times. I think if you missed out on the Super 7 William Stout Collection Rebel Eater He-Man, this isn't a bad stand-in. If you want that one, if you're holding out for it, and just don't want to drop the, I want to say $100 to $200 on it now, then this is fine. This is perfectly serviceable. But let's not beat around the bush here. It's not a great Dolph Lundgren likeness, if a Dolph Lundgren likeness at all, which I'm still perplexed as to why we can't get one of those, because the Frank Langella in the Masterverse line and the Super 7 William Stout collection both really look like the guy, but yet both He-Man I have from the 87 movie don't look like Dolph Lundgren, at least not to the point where I can say yes, that is Mr. Dolph Lundgren himself realized in plastic form. I mean, seriously, we get him from Rocky, why can't we get him from this? Again, must be some weird licensing issue, but I'm sure there are custom head sculpts out there for you to make this guy look a lot more like the Dolph Lundgren He-Man we all would love to have. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.